to? Or is this going to be different from what everybody is used to? Or is this efficient? Is this intuitive enough? Is this enjoyable? Can I use this thing? So this is where like the user experience comes in. So this is basically user experience. You're thinking about how you can improve the lives of the user. Simple. And you're thinking of how can this thing be intuitive? How can this thing be efficient? How can I make people feel what I'm trying to make them feel? How can I make the experience smoother? How can I make sure that there is no friction when you're trying to navigate from this to this? How can I make sure that I'm not giving you something that you can just, maybe you're trying to get to point A, and then I'm not telling you to first, or you're trying to get to point B, and I'm telling you that you need to go back. You need to go to C first, and then go to D before you now come back to B. For God's sake, I just want to get to B. Why am I going to C and D? Don't even understand. So those are like the things you need to think about when it comes to like user experience. And then user interface now, this is where, so user experience is functionality, user interface is aesthetics. So this is where you are now talking of how is this, how can I make this thing beautiful? I think my screen went off again. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So user design, user interface.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, super. So user interface now is how can I make this thing beautiful? I want when people look at this thing, I want them to be able to trust me. What can I do? Or I want them to be able to trust my brand or to trust my product. What can I do? What colors can I use? What fonts can I use? How can I make people engage with this design? What do I need to add, like jumping or flying animations everywhere? Do I need to add icons? Do I need to use just text? Do I need to make it look serious? Like you have to think about every detail on your design, like on the interface people are looking at. You're thinking about, should I put this here? Should the space between this and this be 16? Should I use more of white here? Should I use more of blue here? Should I use more of this? So it's basically like visual design when it comes to user interface. Like whatever people are looking at, you're concentrating on the visuals, the elements, that's the interactive elements and all of those things. So this is like the difference between UI and UX design. So now when we are now talking about product design, well, UI UX design, I'm sure you've been hearing me talk about users while I've been talking about UI UX design. So the difference between UI UX design and product design is when we talk about product design, here we are talking on the broader level, like the advanced level. We're talking about the product, and the product there is just trying to strike a balance. That's you're trying to strike a balance between the user needs and the business needs. So basically, it involves UI UX design. It involves it involves like the entire product life cycle, from the product launch to product strategy to business goals to the UI to the user experience to the UX experience, getting like tracking your KPIs, getting metrics, making sure that the users, you're getting feedback from the users, and then growth design as well, and all of those things. So basically, product design is the broader level. Like you're doing everything from concept, that's the basic the idea in your head, down to how users launching the product, sending it in the market, getting feedback from the users, reiterating, taking it back to the market, testing, all of those things. So that's what like product design involves. And then you're also trying to make sure that all this thing I'm doing, I'm making money for the business. I'm not just trying to make sure that people can use this thing. Are people using it? Is the business making money? Is the product generating revenue for the owners? Because nobody design then go chop. And there is it generating revenue for the people that own this product and all of those things. So this is what product design is. So that's the difference. So product design is on the broader level. That's why I've been focusing mainly on UI UX, because if we want to talk about product design here, we have to like go further and further and further. And then most knowledge for product design is learned through experience. So you have to like launch an actual product, maybe work with a team, a group of people and all. So for this, you're going to be hearing me interchanging product design with UI UX design. Just know that I'm basically talking about our users here. We're not talking about human-centered design, we're talking about user-centered designs. That's what we're going to be doing currently for this class. So I hope that is clear. So the way the way design has been in existence from the caveman age, the caveman days, like ancient civilization, we've also had UI/UX design. So UI/UX design has not always been in existence. So it can be traced back to 1970s. That's from the field of human-computer interaction. I don't know if you've heard of Don Norman. So they call him the father of UX. So he's the one that coined the term UX, user experience design. So he's the one that brought that term into existence and then started creating roles and responsibilities and different things, different job descriptions started spanning up from this particular term, and people started diversifying it and thinking of other ways to make it look maybe more fancier or more whatever. Yeah. So basically from the ancient days, what he had in mind was it was focused on studying how humans interact with computers. So while they were carrying out those experiments, that's when they came up with the term user experience. So just basically how humans were interacting with computers, and then that was what laid the foundation for modern UI UX design that we have it today, and everybody is talking about it. So yeah, so laws of UX, as you can see here, it will take you 8 minutes to complete all of this. But I'm just going to open this link and then explain it in the shortest possible time that I can, so that we can wrap up with everything that we have to talk about today. So what laws of UX is, so sometimes some people call it the guiding principle of UX design. Some people see it as the rules that you need to follow to create better UX design. But it's just basically giving users an understanding on how humans behave and interact with the experience of maybe digital products or or an interface or whatever. So what this is saying is, let me click on this. So yeah, so lots of UX is the best practices that designers can consider when building user interfaces, when building different screens and all. So I don't know if you've been following through with what I've been trying to do. So I've introduced design to us, the basic general view of what everybody thinks design is and how you can define design on your own. Then I streamlined it to what UI UX design is, what product design is, understanding what you're trying to get into, what is required of you. Just simple in your head, you should know that I'm trying to improve the lives of users by solving their problems and making sure that the solution I'm giving to them is efficient, usable anytime you want to use, but just ensure that you're giving them a solution that they can use and it can help them at the end. And then now I'm trying to introduce best practices that will help us to meet, or that will help us, because you're not the first person doing this thing. Don't know if you understand. Something that people have been doing over the years. So they've gathered experiences, they've known how users behave, they understand, they've interacted with users, they've done interviews, they've had this, there are things they've done there that they're able to come up with general guidelines or principles that you can follow in order for you to also build better products or come up with better ideas or whatever, depending on the field you want to go into. And so there are different laws of UI UX. I think there are about 14. I'm not so sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, there are more than that. So there are a lot, but then there are some basic laws that people focus on. But I'm just going to explain it briefly for us to understand what this means. So this aesthetic usability effect, what this means is that your design should not just be beautiful, it should be usable. Like it shouldn't just be aesthetically pleasing that people are not able to use it. You might see some designs that you're seeing the button and a perfect example, you might go to a website now and then it looks so beautiful with a lot of animation, and then you're seeing the button jumping. You try to click on the button, it seems like the button is running away from you. You are struggling to click on it and it just doesn't want to stay one place. It just keeps going and going and going, and you're frustrated and you leave the website. So that is like an example of this law. What this is trying to say is trying to say that you should not just make your design beautiful. It looks beautiful, like you're animating it and you're like, oh my god, I love the color. Maybe they use yellow, green, and a lot of things here, or it looks so beautiful. But then you're not able to click on that button, and that call to action is what you really need to do. Like the basic action you need to perform on that website, but you cannot just click on it. So that design is not useful. It's not like usable. So that's what this is trying to say. It says it should be usable. But then what the law is addressing now is that most times when people look at these beautiful designs, they are wild and they are like, yes, I can trust this website. This website is usable. So they usually perceive design that is beautiful or that's aesthetically pleasing as something that is more usable. Most times you might go to a website and then you see it scattered and you're like, it looks like these people want to scam me. I don't want to, you just go back. I don't want to be here. And maybe you're seeing the font, different sizes and different all of those things. And you're like, no, I cannot put my credit card here. They're going to my debit card here. They're going to like scam me and all of that. So yeah, so this is saying that your design should be beautiful. It should be useful, because when people look at your design, they're like, this is beautiful, I want to use it. So their intention should be able to, like, they should actually be able to perform that action to use your design. So that's it. So choice overload here is people get overwhelmed when they have multiple choices to pick from. I don't know if it happens to you. I'm very indecisive, so I don't know about every other person. I don't know if it happens to you when you're looking at when you have to make a decision and then you're presented with 4 or 7 options and you're like, which one am I going to pick from? A sounds so attractive. B is so me. C is like what I really want to do. D is like, you just see yourself going in circles and in circles and in circles. So it's saying that the tendency for people to get overwhelmed when they are presented with a large number of options, often used interchangeably, paradox of choice. So you shouldn't, as much as possible, try to like reduce that cognitive load from your users. Just reduce that load that they have to overthink. They just give them fewer options. If it's possible, give them 2 options. If people have to make a decision and then you're telling them, you're giving them, let's say you want them to pick, let's say you're asking a question now, you created a form, and then you want them to pick and answer, pick between, basically what you want is yes or no, or maybe. And then you're now putting options like yes, no, maybe, something like that. No, no, no. Yes, like people would like just give them something that is so easy for them to think about. Like they don't even have to think. They're just making a choice. I want yes, yes. I want no, no. I want maybe, maybe, and that's it. So you shouldn't like give your users so much headache when they are trying to work on, like when they are trying to make decisions on your product. Don't even understand that. And then chunking here. Chunking is like a process where individual pieces of an information sets are broken down and then grouped together in a meaningful way. So from the image here, you're seeing that this is grouped together, this is grouped together. So yeah, I'm trying to think of a perfect example for this. But yeah, let me just explain it. It's more like when you're designing when you're designs, or you're trying to like think about the experience users have on your products. What you should be thinking about is, how can I group related like information together? How can I group related information together? Let's say you are creating a form that you need them to submit their details. Yeah, they need to submit personal information. They need to submit business information and they need to submit company information. Let's just break it down like maybe business documents, company information. So you shouldn't be putting first name. You shouldn't ask them to put like their first form field, first name, last name, company name, CAC document, then you now go date of birth, then date of company registration, then you go to upload utility bill, you go to upload personal information or upload your name. Like you're just mixing information. So what this is trying to say is group related information together. So if you are going to be having that kind of experience on your website or your product, it should be able to be, maybe you group it as first screen, you see personal information, and then all the information that they are going to like be imputing on that first screen would be personal information, like their first name, last name, date of birth, their identity number, their NIN registration, and whatever, and all of those things that they need to impute on the product. I don't know if you understand. So that's what this means. That's one of what this law is. So these laws are plenty. Please, if you click on it, it opens up and explains it better for you. But I don't want to like click on it because I'm not really going deep into like the explanation. So you can click on it later to like get more explanation on it. And then cognitive bias. Sorry, I want to drink water. Okay. So cognitive bias here, it says systematic error of thinking, rationality and judgment that influence our perception of the world and our decision making ability. So I'm going to open this. So rather than thinking through every solution, we conserve mental energy by developing rules of thumb to make decisions which are based on past experience. Oh yeah, I remember. So yeah, what this is talking about is users have the ability to make decisions based on past experiences or experiences that they've had before. So instead of, you see someone, let me give a more random example before I go into like the products world. So you see someone would say maybe they ate the first time they ate egusi soup, they threw up, and then they're like, I don't want to eat anything that has red oil anymore. So these are like biases that people just create, and then they're like they think it affects they just form decisions around certain experiences that they've had. So they call it like mental shortcuts that people create to help them like increase their efficiency and then enable them like make quicker decisions. So in your head, the next time you see egusi in your head, you know that I can't eat egusi, or you see red oil somewhere, like I can't eat red oil because this thing is going to affect me or is going to affect. So that's the same way users think, like when it comes to most of our products, or when it comes to most products that they have. So this is how some people think and recall information. So we have to like actually empathize, think about how our users think when we're coming up with products, with experiences on our products. So you have to think, okay, how would a user be able to like what logical decision, or what is the quickest way a user will be able to make a decision on this particular product. So maybe you're trying to come up with a product, and then you would notice that some medical applications, they use blue, they use green, or if you see some of these brands that when it comes to entertainment, you see them using orange, using red and all of these things. Most times some of these things have actually been experimented with users. I don't know if you understand. So most times they are doing this because it's already known that when users see something that has blue, they automatically make an informed decision in their head that, oh, I can trust this. Probably because of a prior experience they had with a brand that a medical brand and their branding was blue and they were so nice and all of those things. In their head, they've already decided that I can trust this product, or I can do this, or I can work with this, or I can do that, I can do that. I don't even understand. So these are like certain things that we have to think about when we're trying to like come up with products. So we need to think about the different ways that our users would make cognitive decisions, or the different biases that they might have had in the past, and how the decisions that they've made previously. I know this might sound so hectic or so, but I know you're going to like get used to it when you start designing products, or some of us have already started designing products. So when you start like empathizing more with your users, you'll be able to like come up with most of these products that you'll be able to come up with world class products that will make impact and will not just not be useful. Yeah, I like that word too. So next one is cognitive load. It says the amount of mental resources needed to understand and interact with an interface. Yeah. So this is similar to what I was talking about here. But what this is trying to say is let me give an example now. Let's say you're designing a product, and then the layout of the product. Please just imagine with me, since I don't have an example, a physical example to give to you. Yeah. So the layout of that product. By layout, I mean like the screen you are looking at. Let's say like the way you're looking at this screen here. So okay, let's even use this screen to imagine this now. So let's say we come to this website now, and then instead of them to differentiate this information like this into different card like view with different color and everything, they just put everything on one screen and then list it out: aesthetic, choice overload, blah blah blah, list everything out, and the text, like you are just reading through and blah blah blah. No. So what this is saying is that when a user has to like consume that much information at the same time, it's usually overwhelming on the user. So we have to like try to reduce the cognitive load that the user has to take at a particular time. So you would see one way they've applied that is they've listed, instead of just listing it out, they've differentiated it into like different cards, and you're able to like open them one information at a time, getting knowledge one information at a time, one information at a time. So that's like an example of this. And then the healthy threshold. So it says productivity source when a computer needs users interact at a pace. So what this is saying is, don't make your users not know what is happening on your website or your products. Maybe I click on submit button, and then when I click on submit button, I'm not seeing anything on the screen again. It's just blank. And people are wondering, so your user is now wondering, what should I do next? What's happening here? What's going on? Like the time you should take for your user to think about what's going on is like less than 400 milliseconds. That's what this law is saying. So you should be able to come up with something. Either you put a loading state somewhere, or you redirect them somewhere, or you put a note telling them, thank you for submitting your application or your this, and we'll get back to you. Like just keep communicating, keep talking to them at every point in time. They should know what is happening, they should know where they are going next and all. So that's what this means, this loyalty threshold is. And then Fitts law. So it says the time to acquire a target is a function of the distance to and size of the target. Yeah. So what this means is, let me give an example of Fitts law now. An example of Fitts law is when, let's say, you're trying to operate your mobile phone now, and then on your mobile phone, the button, you see that some mobile applications have their buttons down, like at the bottom bottom of your screen. The reason why they do that is because it's easier to like touch that area. Like that's that's the rule of thumb. So it's easier to like, it's an easy way to touch, it's an easy place to like touch, and you're not traveling all the way to the top of your screen. Imagine you are using very large screen phone, and then you have to like move your hand up and also it's trying to tell us here that the time to acquire a target is a function of the distance to and size of the target. So what this explains is you should think about users are very like short span. So you should think about the time. Let's say you want to like attract them or sell something to them or tell them to do something and all of that. You should think about the time it will take for them to make that decision and then the actions they need to perform to make that decision. And maybe you're not giving them a link like button instead of a very big button. Maybe you want them to click somewhere, you should be able to direct them like click here, click, like you should shout click so that they're able to click. I don't know if you understand. So fit is saying that you should attract your user within the shortest possible time, and then that's attract your target or acquire a target within the shortest possible time, and then the distance that it to take the distance that the target will need to like take or to complete the action should also like be reduced. So that's what fit is saying here. And then flow, I think this is no pay attention to this. So flow, it says the mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and okay, sorry. The mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed. Please, I hope we are not sleeping.
No, we are not.
No,
Okay.
no, no.
Lie down.
Okay, I just remembered now that everywhere is quiet. Okay, yeah. So back to what I was trying to say. I'm really trying to explain this faster because this is a lot and we still need to talk about design thinking. Or rather, I would just say we should go back and like pay attention to like look at some of these laws, but some laws that you will be applying daily in your like user in your while you're designing would be Fitts law, Hicks law, Jacob's law, law of common region, law of proximity, law of similarity, Miller's law, Occam's razor's law, Pareto principle, yeah, Parkinson's law, not so sure of Postel's law, yeah. So these are some laws that I know that I think about most times when I'm designing. So there are laws that you'll be able to like think about too when you're designing. So we can pay attention. Okay, let me explain these laws I just pointed out, and I'll skip some of the laws, and then you can go back to read about all of them. So let me explain Hicks law. So it says the time it takes to make a decision increases with the number and complexity of choices. It's similar to what we're talking about here. But what Hicks is saying is that let's say I'm trying to make these users, or I want the users to buy something from me. And I just want them to buy that thing immediately. I shouldn't give them 10 choices or 10 things to think about before they come to make that buying decision. Most times, that's why sometimes we have cart abandonment on websites and it's difficult to get used. Like there are some products you interact with, you're like, oh, I'll come back to this later. You just close it and you leave. So it's saying that you should be able to get like if you want your users to make a decision, you should be able to make sure that they are making that like you're not increasing the time it to take for them to make that decision. But at the end, they might not even make that decision, and you are the one losing at the end. I don't know if you understand. So if you want someone to sign up, if your goal is to get people to sign up on your product, you shouldn't create a very long onboarding form. And that's maybe when I download your app now, you're not asking me 10,000 questions that would require me to go and look for my ID, my passport, and maybe scan it, or look for my NIN and scan it, or look for where did I write my passport number somewhere. Like I'll have to be standing up and checking and checking. On me, I'll just leave it and stand up and change it and go to another app. So that's why sometimes when you're signing up on an application, you see them, they'll just ask you for your email address. You put your email address, and then you're already on the app. They're taking you to your dashboard. or they're taking it to your email app where you would log in, put a password, and you're on your dashboard. So it's from your dashboard now that you're seeing them telling you that, oh, you need to verify your email, you need to create a profile. They are keep telling you that you've not completed certain actions on the platform. So this is an example of Hicks law. Maybe you're trying to, that's your goal. You just want people to sign up. You want to get like their email address. You want to save them somewhere. So that's one thing that you need to do. So you shouldn't overload them with plenty information and then they are running away. So that's what Hicks is saying. And then like the complexity of trust shouldn't be like plenty and all. So Jacob's law is saying that I am using a website. I'm used to using crypto applications, and I know that when I'm using or let me use a very random one that all of us know. I'm used to buying stuff online, like going to a website, ordering things, and I'm buying stuff online. I shouldn't come to your own application and you're telling me to do something different. Maybe the process of buying stuff from Jumia is I would just go to Jumia platform. I don't even need to sign up. I'm already used to it. I'll just check, click, select what I want. Then when I'm trying to check out, they're not telling me to sign up. I go to Amazon, it's the same thing. I go to Gigi, it's the same thing. I go to eBay, it's the same thing. But then when I come to your own website now, choplife.com, you're now telling me to tell you the day my grandparents were born, or you're telling me to give you a lot of information before I can just buy what I want to buy. Like I just want to buy. Do you understand? So it's saying that users spend most of their time on other sites. This means that users prefer your site to work the same way as all the other sites they already know. This is why you would see some applications looking similar. Maybe you might just see branding different, color fonts different. This is just because of some of these laws. Like you're already used to this somewhere. I'm not supposed to give you something different. I already know that in your head you know that when I'm looking for the home button is usually the first icon in my mobile app at the bottom. So I shouldn't have to go to settings to look for home. I don't even understand. So these are like certain things you have to think about when you're like working on products and all. So and then law of common region. The elements tend to be perceived into groups if they are sharing an area with a clearly defined boundary. So this element, an example is this stuff that are like together like this. We've grouped them in our head as the laws of UX because they are all together. But let's imagine now that there was an image here, a big image here, and then the next line you're now seeing circle or something. We would think it in our head that okay, maybe this thing is saying something different from this other sites or these other areas. So it's saying that if you are trying to come up with design, like you're trying to come up with an idea or creating a design, you should group like users, because users perceive informations that are grouped together as sharing, like their thinking is the same information you're trying to pass. So you should tap into this and then group most of these elements together. You want users to be able to see features of a product. They should not see features up here, the first one, the second one, they'll scroll to the bottom and see. You should be able to group them together, features, and they maybe use icons, use this, and they are seeing it together in the same area. They know that these are the features. They are going to the next one, they know that these are testimonials. They are going just something like that. So that's what common region is talking about. And then law of proximity is saying objects that are near or proximate to each other tend to be grouped together, similar to like I'm seeing these guys together, and then I know that they are grouped together. But this is fine. If you look at the image here, so in your head, you know that the white is together, and then the dark orange color here on this orange background is different. So that's what this is saying. Similarity to is like the human eye tends to perceive similar elements as a complete picture, shape, or group, even blah, blah, blah. So looking at this here, you're seeing this now, these similar elements. You're thinking they are like the same thing. Do you understand? So if you have something that you want people to like group together, or you want people to think about together, you find a way to put them, like to make them similar. Like maybe you can use image the same way that they've done it here. If you notice, these cards are similar. It has like the image area, it has the what's it called? It has the title area and then the small subtext area. So you're seeing like that these are like similar things that are talking about something similar. So that's what this is talking about. So yeah. Okay, Miller's law is important. So the average person can only keep 7 plus or minus 2 items in their working memory. So what Miller is saying is, on this line that you're seeing here now, I shouldn't have 10 of these cards, or 8 of these cards, or even 7 of these cards. It's too much information for the users to learn at the same time. So as much as possible, if you need to, so it's saying 7, they will only remember 7 plus or minus 2. So either 7 plus 2 or minus 2, so 5 or 7 or 9, something like that. So you should be able to like try to group to arrange your layout in those in that this particular, so in this particular order. So please later when you start designing, you should be come back and look at these laws very well. It's going to help you. These laws and design principles, they're actually going to help your design, like help you design better and help you like work better. Sorry that I'm not explaining everything. If you need me to explain everything, you can still reach out to me later. Our time is fast spent. Yeah. So we have okay, let me go back. I don't think I'm done here. Yeah. So the next thing, what we're going to be talking about next is, okay, there are lots of terminologies in UI UX design. You need to click on this, like learn more. So just like every other field, there are like different lingua that people do this thing. People use in their different fields, like finance, like engineering, like was it medicine and all of these things. So same way software developers and blah blah blah. Same way they have like their own lingua. Same way we have like terminologies in UI UX design. So there's a couple of design terms that you should be able to like pay attention to. So this is something you can learn. You can just learn. You don't need to cram it or memorize anything. It's just something that you can look at and be familiar with. So if you hear it somewhere else, you would not be thinking, what are they trying to say? What is this? What do you mean? And all. So yeah, that's it. So later you can try to give 5 differences between design, maybe explain your 5 favorite laws, who is father of UX, and yeah. Again, submission is not required, but it's important that you should try some of these exercises. And yeah, we're going to professional skills and career opportunities in UI UX design. So UI UX design has like a lot of opportunities, like their career paths, their skills that are required to be a better UI UX designer, and then their what's it called? The opportunities that you must not necessarily be a product designer or UI UX designer. Like there are things you can branch out into and explore as long as you've decided to choose this career path. So there are certain like skills and qualities that are required from you as a UI UX designer. You might already have some of these skills, Sha, because most of these skills are stuff that we apply in our daily life. I don't know if you get. So it's possible that you're already applying some of these skills in your life already, and you just need to reapply it in the context of design. Do you understand? So you click on this link to learn more, but I'm just going to mention some of these skills. So they are like, maybe you've heard me talk about empathy. So empathy is something that in fact, as a human, as a designer, you cannot properly solve problems for users if you cannot empathize with them. So you should be able to put yourself in the shoes of the people that you are trying to solve with their problems. You should be able to feel what they feel, think the way they think, say the things that they are saying, like understand what they would want to say, like what your potential user would want to say. You should be able to know what are they going to do as a user of this product. If I were to use this product, what am I going to use at this point and at that point? And you are not making assumptions, please. This most of this information is based on research. Like you've carried out research, actual research with actual users, um or what's it called? You've carried out secondary research without actual users, where you're checking what people are saying on other platforms, what they are doing on other platforms, how they are thinking. But basically, you should be able to empathize with your users. Like I believe that you can't be a good designer if you cannot empathize properly if you cannot empathize with your users. Another skill that you would be required is curiosity and problem solving. Curiosity, critical thinking, problem solving. These are skills that most of us already use it in our day-to-day life. So you can reapply them in design. Design is also like collaborative. So another thing is collaboration. Communication is so important. Like as a designer, you should be able to communicate. If not, there are days that you design something and then your client or your boss is telling you that, what is this? Because most of these clients or most of these managers or bosses or PMs, they know like most times they feel like they know more than you, the designer. So you need to explain and tell them like your design decisions. You need to be able to communicate. Tell them that this is why I put this thing here. This is what I'm doing here. And you're not fighting. You're talking like using design terms, like explaining it for them to understand it better. I don't know if you understand. So you need to be able to communicate properly and then communicate within your team too. So you're not going to fight a developer that is cooking beans tomorrow. Maybe you're holding them on their neck and pressing their neck. So that's not something you should be doing. But yeah, most times it's required. But yeah, I'm not advising you to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that you should be able to communicate properly with your developers, like the team, the cross-functional team you're working with, the product managers, stakeholders, the machine learning guys, the content guys, marketing guy, anybody that you're working with, you should be able to communicate properly with them. You should be able to tell them why I put this red button here, why this button is red here and it's not blue, why this font is big here and it's not small. And this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be open to feedback. Of course, you can take feedback from them. So feedback is another thing. You should be able to be open to accept feedback, constructive feedback, iterate on it, get people's idea, because you need to get feedback on your design, not the one that you design something and you're like, this design is the best. Someone is trying to tell you that this is not working and you're like, it's working. You're testing with users cannot use it and you're like, this design is the best. You're just bent on it because probably you're seeing your button flying and you feel like this is the best I can do. So you should also be able to get feedback, but still know when to push back a little and explain. And also, yeah, these are like certain skills you need. Then now when we talk about technical skills, so I was talking about soft skills earlier. So when we talk about like technical skills that are required, this is where you now start talking about wireframing, research, prototyping, UX writing, visual design, interface design, and UI, user testing, and business analytics, and products, UX strategy, content writing. Some people include coding and development, but some people do not necessarily like do that. So these are like certain technical skills that would be required. So please, in order to understand most of these things I'm talking about, wireframing, prototyping, like what these things mean, please click on this link and open it, and it's going to be explained better in the class, but maybe you want to get like a basic understanding now. You can just click on this and learn it better. So career opportunities in UI UX design. So we have certain opportunities in that as a UI UX designer you can branch out into. It's not just what's it called, UI UX design, UI design. You can just be a UI design. Maybe you see your strength is in visual. Maybe like, I know someone says she's a graphics designer. Maybe you know that your strength is in visual design or UI design, or if I create design, my clients will not tell me to make it pop. It's always popping and they are loving it. You can decide to just focus on UI design. Nothing concerning you and concerning research. You are just doing UI design. Or maybe probably you know that you are better at synthesizing data, you're better at collecting, gathering, and analyzing and all of those things. You can decide to just focus on UX research. I don't even understand. The other fields like creative directors, there's UI UX, interaction design, there's UX strategies, there is UX consultant, there is motion design, there's UX writer, there is service designer. So these are fields that people have decided to, like, these people trying to niche into, trying to like niche out and not just be a generalist and do everything product. Some people just focus on coming up with strategies for your products. Some people just focus on doing the whole popping thing, the animation, the motion, the making things jump and fly around and slide out and all interaction and all. Some That's what some people just do. Some people focus on coming up with content for the platform and making sure that people are understanding what they are reading at a certain point or what they are doing at a certain point in time and all. So aside like entry level positions, these are like advanced skills that you can niche into. So you should know that you can think about your career opportunity now. You saw your career path now and say, okay, maybe I can start out as a UI designer and then I branch out into UX research, or maybe I branch out into interaction design, I branch out into creative director, then go into senior, depending on the path you want for yourself. So you can think about it. So I think an activity I want you to think about is, if you're able to go through these slides, you should be able to like know the skills that you would need. Like I've mentioned before, you need communication, you need collaboration, you need problem solving, empathy, you need critical thinking, you need wireframing, prototyping, you need to be able to wireframe like sketch products, you need to be able to wireframe what you've sketched, come up with wireframes for what you've sketched, prototype it so people can like look at what you've done. You need to be able to research, so you're not assuming a lot of things, you're using like facts, data, like actual data to come up with your designs. You need to be able to like research, you need to be able to what else, use that to test your products, your designs. And also these are like certain skills that are required for you to like kickstart your career as a UX designer. And then please, if you can, please you should. This will help you like see. I'm not so much of a planner, but I write a lot. This will help you like see your career path, depending on like how you intend to go. I'm not saying that in the next 2 years or the next, even at the end of this year, it cannot change, but then it helps you be focused. It gives you like a goal, like I'm chasing this is where I want to be in the next 3 years, and you're able to track it and all. So if you can create a career plan based on like the knowledge you've gained here. So yeah. And we're going to be, I think this is, our time is fast spent. So this is the last topic that we are going to be discussing today. Design psychology and heuristics. So yeah, so this is us like going into design now. And by the end of like this class, I want us to be able to understand like the cognitive and emotional aspects, how design influences decisions, apply like heuristic principles to evaluate and like improve visibility, gain understanding on design thinking process and how it can be applied. So what we are just going to be talking about is design thinking, design psychology basics, heuristics in UX design, and yeah, we are done for today. So what is design thinking? I know that we might be familiar with this, we might have heard about this, or we might have thought about this, like, or come across it maybe somewhere, maybe scrolling on social media, on YouTube, probably when you're trying to research product design, or you might have seen it somewhere. So, but what is design thinking? So, but before I go into design thinking, I just want us to like see like the flow at which we're going. So I like to like tell stories with the way I teach, so you understand the flow at which, like, the flow we are taking and all. So you've been able to like understand design, you've been able to, now, if I'm sure you can say, you can define design in your own term, you've been able to know what UI/UX design is, what product design is. You've come now to say, okay, these are the rules I need to follow to, if I want to create good designs in UI, good designs as a UI or as a product designer. And then you've seen that, okay, there are other parts I can explore. Like, this thing is not just UI/UX design. I can be a graphics designer, I can be a UI designer, I can be an interaction designer, I can be anything I want to be through Christ who strengthens me. I can be whatever I want to be. Yeah, there are a lot of like fields that you can follow. Sorry if there's any Muslim here, I'm so sorry. There are a lot of fields that you can follow, and you can move, or there are parts that you can direct your goal or redirect your life to face and all. And then you've also known like the skills that you need to, like, the skills that are required for you to come up with products that people can use. And now we are going to be talking about how you can think, as like the thinking process that is involved in design. Like, design is you imagining something, bringing it to life, and maybe creating something from your imagination, or from, you've thought about something in your head and you want to like create it, you want to plan, you want to execute, you want to draw, you want to, whatever you want to do. So that's what design is. So we are talking now, what we are going to be talking about is the thought process involved in design, and the flow, the what's it called? Sorry, the psychology involved in design, and then the what is heuristics in UX design. So now, what's design thinking? But before I explain design thinking, sorry, before we explain design psychology, first of all, I have to talk about design thinking, so you understand like what design thinking is. So what is design thinking? You might have heard it before. Design thinking is just the process, like your thought process to designing or to solving a problem or to coming up with a solution. Like, the thought process, maybe in your head, you're saying, I need to go to Lagos and collect data. From when I collect data, I need to be able to talk to the users, the people that are going to use this product. And then after that, maybe I need to now test other products that are already in the market. And then I come back and have discussions with my stakeholders, or with the clients that gave me these products, or with my boss or my company, and tell them that this is this is the information I've gathered so far, and I need to these are the requirements that would help me move faster, and blah blah blah. Or then they're like, okay, no problem, you can go ahead. Then in your head, you're like, okay, I've already discovered what the problem is. I've talked to people, and now I need to start. In your head, you are now ideating, you're thinking, brainstorming. How can I solve this problem? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Then, boom, it comes up. You start sketching. As you're sketching, you're trying to like bring it to life, adding colors, adding this, and then you're showing it back to your stakeholders. Do you think this will solve the problem that these people are talking about? And they're saying, yes, it can solve the problem. So you're saying, okay, then when you finish, you now come up with like a mini, maybe a prototype or something that they can click through, work, and interact with it. And then when they've interacted with it now, they're like, okay, this would work. You come back, you make, but I want this to be here, I want this to be here. You come back, you make. So all these things that I've just said now, it can be your process. So it's design thinking. It's not like a linear process where you are seeing the way you might have read it somewhere or seen it, where you're saying empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, implement, and all of those things. So design thinking is not a linear process, it's an iterative process. So it's just simply the process it takes you as a designer to be able to understand your users, challenge like assumptions, redefine problems, and create solutions for testing. So that is it. That's what design thinking is. So your process can be, I think there's someone called Vivian. So your process as Vivian, your process can be different from Sunday's process or from Imelda's process. But the goal is you're understanding your users, you're challenging assumptions. Not all the time that you might need to challenge assumptions. There are sometimes you might go with them. You are redefining problems. Sometimes you might not even need to redefine. Sometimes you already know the problem and you're just solving the problem. You're creating solutions for it. Do you understand? So that's what design thinking is. So when it comes to design thinking, we're going to click. Let me open this so that we'll be able to follow through. So yeah, when it comes to design thinking, there is an accepted like process that everybody knows, the thinking process. There are different types of design thinking process. There's lean design thinking, agile, there is design thinking itself, like different processes, but there's this particular one that almost everybody does, and I'm going to explain it. But just know that there are a lot of other processes that you can take as a UI UX designer. It's not just you must not focus on empathizing, on iterating, on designing, on prototyping, on testing, like the way most people list it out. Do you understand? But yeah, so design thinking, like I said, is an approach used for practical and creative problem solving, can be applied to any field. And before we talk about the design thinking process. So there are like 4 principles that are always you need to understand, like you need to have at the back of your mind when you're coming up with design thinking. Like the 4 principles are like the human rule. You know that its design is like social in nature. It's applied, it's like a social activity. So it's applied in humans. You know that humans are going to use this thing that I'm working on. In your head, you should just know that humans are going to use this thing that I'm like actual people, not dummies, not mummies, not anything, like real people are going to use this stuff that I'm working on. So that's something you should think about when you're working, when you are trying to like come up with your thought process to create a solution for people. And then you should know that there's a point in your in your creative process that it's going to be ambiguous. Like most times you might get so much data that you can't even analyze it or synthesize it, and there's no limit. Just know that there's no limit to what you can discover while you are coming up with like your creative process. Like there's no limit of knowledge. You can even most times in your head you might be thinking maybe the users want A, then you go into the field and find out that now me want A, oh, these people na B they want. Then you now come back again and start thinking, what am I going to do with? How am I going to start creating B solution for B for them? I don't even understand. So just know that there's no limit to the knowledge you can acquire in your creative process, and then there is no new design. Like everything, like there's no new design. All design is redesign. So be free not to re-engineer the process. How did I say that thing? Don't feel like you have to come up with something new. And if you can, pay attention to what people are doing. Pay attention to what has already been done. In fact, if you're coming up with design, try to look for inspiration. Look around you. Look at art. Look at nature. Interact with people. Talk to people. Look at other previous design. Like there's nothing that is new. In fact, if you notice, most what humans are doing now, we are recycling a lot of things. So all design is redesign. So you're just trying to change. Most times you might even just get your inspiration from an architectural building. You're looking at the layouts and you already know how you want to design your this thing. Even food, you can even be looking at food, maybe a bowl of onion, and you're like, this thing can actually come up very great if I put my the shapes, circle. So all I'm trying to say is just know that there's no new thing under the sun. Like everything that's already been done. There's nothing that's not been done before. So you can get ideas from anywhere. Like basic human needs remain unchanged right from time. what everybody wants, the needs, what people are trying to like. Everybody's trying to live better lives, and the basic needs of humans have not changed. It has not changed from shelter, it has not changed from food, it has not changed from like electricity. That so there are things that have not changed. So just know that you cannot re-engineer the wheel and all. So yeah, and then the tangibility rule. Just in your head, also think that or know that this what I'm trying to create has to be efficient. Like process helps to make like ideas tangible, like enabling designers to communicate like effectively. So it has to be useful. I've been making use of the word useful. Please think like when you are designing, just make sure that is this thing useful? Is this thing easy to use? Like, am I making these people think too much? When the people like, am I solving a problem? Am I giving them like a solution to their problem? Or am I just doing nonsense and cooking beans? Do you understand? So we know design is nonsense because design is art. But yeah. Um, so there are like 5 phases of design thinking. So this is what I was trying to say earlier. This is according to the Hasso-Plattner Institute of Design. It's an accepted standard worldwide, but it's not the only standard. Like it's not the only design thinking process, but this is an accepted standard that everybody, like a lot of people, um use or think about when it comes to design. So you might have heard me say design is iterative, it's not linear. So looking at this diagram here, you're seeing that the arrows are not just pointing from empathizing to define, from define to ideate, from ideate to prototype, from prototype to test. You see that there are arrows here. There are sometimes like you are empathizing with your users, you're trying to get a knowledge from them, research, talk to them, observe and all. And then you can go to define. And when you try to define it, you realize that this is not even a problem. Like this thing that I'm thinking is a problem that people are trying to I'm trying to solve. It's not a problem at all. Like the way Nigeria is trying to solve problems that are not really problems. So that can be an example. So you know that this is not a problem at all. So I shouldn't even focus on it. So you can just abandon it and do something else. There are times when you empathize, when you've gotten like your data, you now go to create a prototype and then you want people to test this thing, like you want people to use this stuff. And as they are using this thing, I want to be able to like get more information about it. When they use it, you now come back and I did. That's when you start coming up with solutions. Like, okay, this is what I gave them, but this is what they were doing. Maybe instead of them clicking on it, everybody was going to be, how can I like make this work better and all. Sometimes you might have gone through the entire process and then it's time for you to test. Then you're like, this thing that I did, people did not really get it to. You now go back to what's it called, defining again, because probably you missed something somewhere or you did not define your problem very well and all. So this is entire process. It's not linear. It happens like most times it's iterative. You can just be skipping process, coming back and all. So when I say empathize, what exactly like what's empathizing? This is mostly like the critical point. This is the point where almost all designs start off from. So when you hear someone say from idea to launch, so it's at this point that somebody has come to you now and said, hi, I want you to help me, Messi, I want you to help me come up with a design for a product. I have this idea in my head and I don't know how to bring it to life. And you're like, great, I'm a product designer. I can help you do that. I now tell you the idea, and then it's from this point that you start thinking. This is where your design process, your thought process comes, your design thinking process, like everything, this is where it starts from. You're like, okay, are you sure you really want this thing like this? The person is saying yes. Now you're talking to your client or your stakeholder. The person is saying yes. You're like, okay, you want it like this. Why do you want it like this? Who are the people you are looking at that are doing this thing like this? Why do you think this is a problem? Why do you think you want to solve the problem? Why are you even passionate about this thing? You're talking to them, interviewing them and all. And then they've given you all their own information that you can get. Then you now leave. Say, okay, I need to now start talking to the people that I'm trying to solve problem for, so that I will not be assuming that they have problem when they don't even have problem. Maybe in my head, I'm thinking these people want to be able to wake up early, but all they want to do in their life is sleep. So this is something I need to talk to them to know that what they really want. Then you now start talking with users. So this empathizing stage has like a lot of like steps involved, but what you are trying to do is you're trying to understand the wants and the needs, needs and objectives of the users. That's the end users, the people that are going to use this product. You need to understand what they want. This what you're going to be doing at this stage is you're observing them, you're talking to them, you're interviewing them, you're creating focus groups with them, you're sending out surveys, asking them questions, you're going through different products to understand what people are doing in this field. How are people using? You're going on Google Play Store, reading reviews, you're going on websites, checking analytics, checking like metrics and all of. So these are the things that you do in this stage, this empathizing stage. But the end product is you're understanding what your user wants. That's what empathizing is about. So all the steps, all the process, everything that you're doing in this stage. If you notice, I'm talking more of asking questions, talking to them, observing them, doing this thing, interacting with them. So all these things will help you understand what their problem is, what they are trying to solve, like what you understand what you're trying to solve and what they actually want, what they need, and then come up with like objectives for that for them. Don't even understand. That's what you do in this phase, like the empathy phase. That's what you do. Then when it comes to like the second stage, which is defining now. So defining, yeah, this is like what you do in defining is now you've understood what the problem is. In your head, you've understood that okay, let me use an actual product so that we are not just blabbing. So I want to build a product for what's it called? For moms, new moms. I want to build a product for new moms, and I want them to be able to get through postpartum depression. I don't have experience in this at all. I've not given birth before. I don't even understand what their problem is. I cannot, I cannot I cannot, because I'm not in their shoes, I cannot speak from what they are going through. Do you understand? But my client really wants to solve this problem because she believes in this, like she believes this is going to help them. This is going to help improve like the relationship between them and their babies, their families. It's going to help them be more happier and all of those things involved and blah 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 and all. So she wants to solve this problem. So what do? You now start talking to your client, asking your client, why do you want to solve this problem? What are you trying to do? Um, what are you trying to do? Like, why do you think this is a problem? Do you have experience in this? Do you have someone close to you that has gone through this? What do you want to do? Why do you want to help them and all? When you are finished talking to them, you start gathering maybe new moms, people that you know, asking your friends, hey, do you know anybody that just recently gave birth? Hey, do you know anybody that just, and or sending out links or surveys in groups, just talking to them or telling people, hey, come, if you're a new mom, I'll pay you 20,000 naira. I just want to understand how the experience has been with you and your family since you put to birth and all since you gave birth and all of those things. Start talking to them, asking them questions, or you can even go to hospitals and just sit and observe like new moms that come, you're watching them, the way they hold their babies, maybe the way they laugh, and these are things that you do like in the empathy stage. And then you're now like, okay, this is actually a problem. Some of them are really depressed. Some of them maybe because of the pains, the wounds that the wounds that they had while trying to give birth. Maybe that's what's causing them. Some of them, maybe they are lonely. Like after giving birth, they have to do all the work at home. Their husbands are not like always active. They have to do all the work at home. They have to still feed the baby. They have to still take care of the baby. Some of them, maybe it's because they are new. Maybe these first time moms, they've not done this before. You might see them crying, being overwhelmed, and like now you know that is a problem. So now what am I going to do? How do I define this problem? So this is where the definition stage comes in now. So the second stage, like in the design process, is dedicated to defining the problem. You've gathered all your findings from like the empathy stage. This is where you start asking, how might we solve this problem? This is where you come up with a problem statement. This is where you synthesize your data, you put everything together. When maybe you interviewed different age groups, you might even find out during your research that maybe moms between the ages of 25 and 35 are more depressed than new moms between the ages of 40 and 45, or 30 and 35, or depending. So what you do now is you start grouping this data together, you start organizing them, like arranging them, prioritizing which one comes first, which one comes last. You group them maybe based on like user types or target audience or whatever, or location. Or you realize that from your research, you realize that people in the US are not as depressed as people in Nigeria. People in Nigeria are not as depressed as people in the US. And maybe because people in Nigeria have more family close, people in the US are just whatever you've come up with, you start arranging them together and then trying to come up with a problem statement. So the key here to your problem statement, to frame the problem like in a user-centered way, rather than saying we need to, frame it in terms of your user. So you're saying retiree. Okay, so sorry, let's use our example. So you're saying new moms need companionship, need company and help to help them to need company and help or assist or whatever to help assist them overcome their depression or assist them overcome the sadness they feel, or assist them pass through that phase of just giving birth and all. So this is not really a good problem statement I just came up with, but yeah, this is something around this that you're going to come up with, like something around that. So you're focused on them, your users, and not on you, the business or the product, or you yourself as a designer or whatever it is. So yeah, that's what you do. And then when you've come up with your problem statement, that is going to be like your points, your target points, like any decision, any design decision you're making spans around your problem statement. Like everything that this is the problem you're solving. So even at the end of your design now, you should be able to come back to your problem and say, did I solve this problem? How did I solve it? Where did I solve it? What did I do? And oh, sorry, another water break. Please, are we following?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you want me to if you want to call my attention to something, can please just do that, and then I can't really see the income message, so you can just unmute. We're not so many, so I don't think the class is chaotic. So yeah, so you're now thinking, at this point, any decision that you're going to make while designing should link you back to your problem statement. You should know at the end that, have I really solved this problem, or was I wasting my time? Did I really do anything to help these new moms overcome whatever it is they are facing, or help them improve their life, or do something better for them, or wherever it is? Do you understand? So from that now, it leads us to like the stage 3, to phase 3. So what the third stage does is, what you're doing in this stage is, so this is why I was saying that sometimes you might empathize and define and realize that, oh, it's not really a problem. Oh, these people don't need it. And then you stop your design, your creative process there. Because maybe you've even found out that people are not actually depressed. Nobody's depressed. They lied and all. So you now do this thing. You stop your whole creative process or your design process there, and then you can go back to your client and say, I don't think this is the problem. I discovered that the problem rather is trying to make sure that their they have money to take care of their babies. Maybe that's what you realize that their problem is. And then you start trying, instead of creating an application for new moms to overcome postpartum depression, you start creating a loan application to help give them money and all. So these are things that can happen. Do you understand? So please, this is just an example. It's not like in context. So don't hold me by my words. Yeah. And then you start ideating. So this is where your creativity comes in now. You start thinking like this is where creativity happens at this phase. This is where your design skills, like everything that you know how to do, this is where it happens in this ideation. Because from this phase here, you start brainstorming, how can I solve this problem? Am I supposed to give them a mobile app? Am I supposed to give them a web app? Am I supposed to give them a physical product, maybe a community where they can come together and have conversations weekly, or maybe they match them with different friends and then they visit each other, or maybe get help for them create a platform that people would volunteer to go and help them. You just start thinking, like you start brainstorming, thinking of possible ways to come up with solutions to this problem. And then while you're thinking, while you're brainstorming, you're writing it down, you're grouping it into different groups, and then you're saying, okay, from what I just did, which of these solved this problem the most? You tick it out, you sort it out. Did this one work? Did this one not work? You tick it out, you sort it out. What do I need to do? You come up with maybe a prioritization grid or empathy map or whatever it is that you're doing. Start thinking, you start even sketching self. Maybe you see yourself with pen and paper, sketching and thinking, okay, you start drawing maybe storyboards, and like a lot of things are just going on in this particular stage. You start thinking, coming up with solutions, creating your mobile app. Maybe you decided to go with a mobile app, or reaching out to NGOs, or doing whatever it is that you have to do at this stage. So that's where your whole creativity comes in. That's the ideation stage. And then when you are done with the whole process, like the whole ideation process, in your head you're like, okay, I think I came up with something. This is going to solve this problem. This is a good solution to this problem. Now take it out. Now you come up with a prototype. So a prototype can be maybe prototype like a scaled down version of, like a miniature version of your product. It can be a digital link that is not functional, like you can interact with it, but it's not functional. It can be paper, it can be an actual like designed, maybe you found out that they need water bottles. Maybe you might have designed a miniature maybe paper water bottle or whatever. Just show it to them, tell your users, say, please, can you use this thing and tell me, how do you feel as you're using this thing? I'm sorry, when you've come up with that prototype, that's the next stage now, the test. So the testing stage now is where you now go out and go back to these people that you were talking to, or new people entirely. And then you're not going to be telling them that, oh, you're not going to tell them that, do you remember that time when I came to you and told you that I want to solve it, and I was asking you questions about your baby and all. Please come and use this product and tell me how it works, or you're just going to be reaching out to them, say, hey, please, can you help me test this product? I created like a product to understand something about new moms. You're a new mom, right? They're like, yes. Okay, please, can you help me test this product? These are like the goals of this product. You tell them blah 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 blah. You should be able to do this, you should be able to do that. So, and then while they are using it, you're not asking them, please perform this action. They perform it. You can be asking them questions. How do you feel while doing this? Why maybe instead of them to click on it, you assumed in your head that they'll click on this button. Instead of them to click on that button, they went to the next page, and you're like, okay, why did you just go to the next page? Like, you're interacting with them, asking them questions, testing to understand what it is. If your product works perfectly, like, there's no issue. you launch it, you can take it to the market. But if it doesn't, that's when you start implementing it. That's the next stage. Now it's not here, but there's an implementation stage. You send it to developers, they work on it, and then launch. But if it doesn't really solve your problem, you now go back and iterate on it. Okay, this is what they did, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, blah blah blah, and all. So this is like the entire design thinking process. It happens like in every design that you're coming up with. It happens. There are some designs that you would skip this stage, you skip the definition stage, and you just go straight to ideation, because maybe you already know what the problem is. Like, you don't even need to, you start brainstorming, start sketch designing immediately and giving them data and all. Do you understand? There are some designs that you just skip to prototype. There are some designs that would require you to test first. Maybe they call you to redesign something. You have to do a UX audit. You have to test it. When you test it with you, understand the problem before you can redesign. I don't know if you understand. So this is like, an iterative process. Like I said, it's not linear at all. It's not like a sequence. It's flexible. So there are like different purposes of design thinking. What's a wicked problem in design? So please, you can go through this later. Design thinking in the workplace. How do design thinking, lean and agile work together? Yeah, you can learn all of this later. But okay, so this is like an actual case study of the design thinking process. You can also, I think they used a hospital staff, eye hospital. Yeah, you can look at it to understand it better. And it's a very long read. So later, please, you can go through this. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about like design psychology now. So after all these things that I've been talking about, like, I don't know if I've been blabbing, but after everything that I've just said, what do you think design psychology is? Let me look at my charts. Hi guys, can we talk, please?
Hello.
Yeah, so what do you think design psychology is? Okay, we don't have time again, so I'll answer for us. But yeah, so design psychology is just psychology in design. Simple. You're just trying to understand how design affects, like, how design affects humans' behavior, their emotions, how you are able to speak to the emotions of these people. So how this is applied is when you're trying to come up with your whole design, your creative process now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand these people. What are they doing? Like, what would they do at this point? What would they say? How would they think? You're understanding the emotions that you're evoking. Maybe you decide to use blue, you want to evoke trust, or you decide to use red, you want to evoke danger or authority or whatever it is. But you're trying to, like, you're applying psychology in design, making sure that you are speaking to the emotions of these people. It might be you thinking you're manipulating them, but then you're not manipulating them. You're just you're empathizing with them to understand them and give them what they want. Most times, users don't know what they want, especially stakeholders. They don't know what they want. They just know that they want something that is working. So it's your duty now as a designer to apply psychology in design. Like, you should be able to speak to the emotions of the people. You should be able to understand human behaviors. You should be able to know why humans prefer to hold their phones on their right hand and use their thumb to scroll and not their 5 fingers to scroll. You should be able to understand why humans do not, their attention span is so short now that if you're not shouting in their face, they are not hearing you. Like, if your product is not shouting, they are not hearing. You should be able to know when to shout. You should be able to know the products that would require you to shout and the ones that you don't even need to do too much. They are working. So these are like certain things that, like, this is what psychology is about, like design psychology is about. So you're able, when you understand like psychology in design, you're able to apply this, like, create intuitive products, make sure that the product is like user or human centered, and apply it in your design thinking process. So all this process that we've just talked about, when you're ideating, when you're sketching, when you're empathizing, when you are defining your problem, testing, and all, yeah, you're appealing to the emotions of your users. Like you understand their behavior. You know what they are thinking. Some of them will be like, there are some products that there are some things you see or some write-ups, and you're like, how did this person know? Are you living my life? Or so because they know like what this type of people or what this category of people are thinking. There are experiments like there are data to back up all of these things. So you just need to be able to like understand this stuff and be able to apply it like very well in your designs. So that's what design psychology is all about. In fact, psychology is very important in design. There are some roles that, especially international roles, that would require you to have a psychology like background. Maybe you have taken a course in psychology, or you have done whatever, but you don't need to go and do a 4-year course in psychology or 5 years course in psychology because you're not a therapist or a psychologist or whatever. You just need to learn the basics, and you can learn them like anywhere online. There are lots of free resources. You just need to learn the basics, understand how humans behave, why they behave that way, and how to evoke certain emotions or appeal to like their emotions when designing. This will actually help you to like become great designers. So yeah, this link will also help us. So our last topic of the day, heuristics in UX design. So heuristics is according to Nelson Norman, I think it was coined by Nelson Norman. So is it Nelson Norman? I can't really get the surname, but I know it's Nelson something. But yeah, heuristics is like mental shortcuts we use in making decisions quickly. You know how I gave us this thing, what's it called? How I gave us the laws of UX. How I told you that these are like guidelines that you can follow when you're trying to design. Do you understand? So when it comes to heuristics, they're like principles. These are like principles in UI/UX design that will help us be able to make quicker decisions. So let me open the link. An example would be avoiding user. Okay, let's follow them together. User feedback. So heuristic evaluation UX design is a way to test whether a website is user friendly. In other words, it tests the site's usability. So let's say I don't know if you remember when I was talking about testing that I said that if there are some designs that would require you to redesign a product, or there are some projects that require you to redesign a product, and you have to do UX audits for that product before you test it and then you redesign it. I don't know if you remember that. But if we don't, then there are actually some designs that you would have to, maybe they'll ask you to redesign, come and redesign this, then send you the link. Sometimes what you have to do is you go to that product, to that website or that mobile app or that product, you go through it, and then these 10 heuristics, like these principles here that you're seeing, will help us, like this will help us make quicker decisions. So you're going to be checking, okay, is this website, is it easy for me to remember this? Is it easy for me to do this? So when we're going through these principles, you will you would like understand this, and then you'll be able to know what you have to do to redesign that website properly. Or even if it's not a redesign project, you are working on a project like our mom's app that we're trying to create now, and we want to be able to like create it very well, create it to be useful or usable. You should be able to have these principles at the back of your head, and then when you're designing or you're ideating, when you're coming up with a solution, you know that users should be able to feel like I should give the freedom to the users. Okay, how do I do that? You start when you're sketching, you say, okay, no, don't put this button here, or don't make them feel like it's me that asked them to do this or do that. So these are like things that we're going to like talk about with these heuristics here. So these ones are like things you should actually recall when designing. Like it's important to, and you don't have to cram or memorize this stuff. Like you can access them anywhere online. So but as you keep designing, you get used to most of this stuff. So yeah. So heuristics can be thought of as rules of thumb, like a heuristic evaluation or expert review of a web or mobile site is based on a set of predetermined heuristics or qualitative guidelines. While there are 200 plus criteria by which a site can be evaluated, many experts' questions are based on usability heuristics. Here's a concise summary for you. So the first one that so there are like different criteria you can use to examine a website or to examine if your product is usable. But these are things that even if you finish coming up with your design, ask yourself these questions. Like just think, remember these 10 stuff and then try to answer them in every step of your design process. Do you understand? So the first one is visibility of system status. The system should always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within reasonable time. So this heuristic just summarizes some of the laws of UX that we're talking about earlier and all. So you're supposed to learn laws before coming to learn this, but I'm just taking this because I think our next class is we'll have to like start doing the design thinking proper, the research and all of those other processes. So when you're trying to come up with like with your products, you should be able to at every point, am I giving users feedback on what is going on this product? Am I making them think? If they click on this button, where is it redirecting them to? What is this link? Where is this link taking them to? Where is this what is this card saying? Where is this thing? Like what just the overall interaction on that website? What is this saying? What feedback are they getting? If they cannot reach this site, am I putting a 404 page for them to tell them that, hey, sorry, we couldn't give you this thing. Please go to home page. Like every step, every point in your design, you should be able to communicate, give feedback at where you need to give feedback, and then at reasonable time also. It shouldn't take you, I don't know if you remember the Hertz threshold where it says less than 400 milliseconds. It shouldn't take a user up to 1 minute to think what's going on that website. They should be able to know immediately what's happening at every point in time. So while coming up with your designs or when you're checking or auditing your website, you should be able to say, okay, was I confused at any point? Did I not know what to do at any point? What was happening? Yeah. So the second one says match between system and the real world. So the system should speak the user's language with words, phrases, and concepts familiar to like the user rather than system-oriented terms. So instead of saying just submit, you might use new words like submit your application or continue to submit application, or like use words that people would understand. When people are going through it, they feel like, oh, this product is actually for me. So this one is like your copy. This one has to do like the copy within the website. So you're also checking within your product. So you're also checking what I wrote here. Does it sound like AI wrote this thing for me? Or does it sound like I'm actually talking to the users? And then am I talking to Gen Zs, or I'm talking to millennials, or I'm talking to Gen Alphas, or I'm talking to people that were born in the 1960s or whatever? Like you just think about the words you're using at certain point, the copy you're using on your website, on your products, the content that you're showing, the type of images, the lingua, the all of those things. So instead of like system-oriented words or AI words, use words that are familiar like in the real world. So you might see people designing Nigeria products with pidgin English or something that people can relate to. I don't know if you understand. So these are things that you think about. You think about, okay, who are this product is for? It's the English, like are they understanding what they are saying? These words are too much. You will not be designing a product for influencers and be using big crypto words. Like they don't know what you're talking about. Nobody understands those things. Use words that people would understand, people can relate to. Do you understand? If you are building for developers, please, by all means, go ahead, use whatever you're using. But if you are building for people that are not so tech savvy, You have to think about them, use words that they would use in their day-to-day activity. Don't even understand. Then user control and freedom. So this one is like you're making the users, like you're giving freedom to the users. So users often choose system functions by mistake and will need a clearly marked emergency exit. Do you understand? So you're giving them the freedom to do certain things on your products. So instead of them clicking on delete accounts and their account is gone forever, if they click on delete accounts, you might notice that sometimes if you click on delete accounts, it will show you a dialogue, a modal or a dialog box where it tell you that, oh, you're about to delete your account. Are you sure you want to really delete this account? Yes, you click yes. No, you click no. If you click yes, then we are like, okay, sure, we'll delete your account. If you click no, you can close that and continue. Or maybe you tried, like, especially actions that are on, like, you cannot undo those actions. It's better for you to put, like, to give them the freedom to even to like to think about mistakes users might perform, might carry, like mistakes that can be made when interacting with your website, and then cater for those mistakes, so it's possible for them to undo those actions or pick, decide if they should continue with those actions. Do you understand? So these are like, you might have to add like undo and redo buttons. You might have to add like close icons. I'm sorry, this close icon that has like this X stuff, maybe on a modal, maybe they mistakenly click a modal and then they're, instead of them being stuck looking at something they don't want to look at, they can just close it and continue interacting with your product. So these are like things that, these are little details, like when it comes to interaction, that you should pay attention to when like you're trying to design. So I think when you hear most of these things I'm saying, you understand that most designs, most products are really thought of. Like, did you have to think, that's why it's called design thinking. You have to think of the things your users would want to do, when they would want to do it, how they would do it, and then help them do those things or prevent them from doing those things. So these are like stuff that would come up when you start like designing real products. And then consistency and standards. So users should not have to wonder whether different words or situations or actions means the same thing. Follow platform conventions. So what this is saying is, I should not see a home icon and you're telling me settings under, or I should not want to go back to home and I'm seeing a football icon. Like, I'm already used to certain things in my head. If it's home, just put a house icon there for me, or just write home so that I know that it's home. If it's this thing, if it's dashboard, I'm going to tell me I'm going to dashboard. Don't tell me go to your environment or go to your community, or like, just make sure that the words you're using or the actions I'm performing are like the same, and I'm familiar with those things. So that's that's one thing you should think about when designing. So this is actually reduced. They are just 10, and I'm sure you can like grab it and it will help you like design better. So error prevention, even better than good error messages, is a careful design which prevents a problem from occurring in the first place. So this is what I was saying. Like, you should be able to think how your users would think and then prevent them from doing those things that they would most likely like want to do, like something that is possible for them to do. So you would know that your users would maybe like to click on a particular button, but you don't want that button to be where they can reach it, or you don't really want them to interact with it. It's better for you to keep it, maybe, let's say like the delete account. So you will notice that your delete account button is not on your home screen, or it's not on your dashboard, or your finance, or your funds page, or money, or whatever. They usually put it in settings, like, in fact, so that it's something that it has to be like an intentional action. Like, this user traveled all the way from this place, went to settings, went to account, and clicked on that button. And then when you click on that button, I still ask you, are you sure you want to delete your account? You said yes. Maybe you were trying to see what happened, and then I deleted your account for you. Then you're coming back. So it's something that is always not so visible because you're trying to prevent them from deleting their account. So this is like an example. I don't even. So there are other actions that are possible that way, that you're trying to prevent your users from performing those actions. So just think about it and not don't even put it safe on that platform. If you want to put it as much as possible, by all means, keep it where it's not within reach. Do you understand? And then recognition rather than recall. So you would notice that some of these rules are similar to what we are discussing earlier. Again, it's easier to grab this, and then that's why I was saying that I'm not supposed to like teach us this, because I would have preferred we understand the basics, the whole laws of UX before coming to like the heuristics, the easier ones. But then I'm still going to teach us this. But what recognition rather than recall is saying is that minimize the user's memory load. Like cognitive load, don't make your users think. Don't allow them to overthink about what's happening. Like the users should not have to remember information from one part of the dialogue to another, like instructions of use. Like, please just if it's a step process, like maybe I'm trying to fill a form now and I've filled out 10 details. I should not be thinking, "Ah, at what point am I in now? Am I in step two, or is this thing, when is this thing even going to end, or whatever? Do you understand? Like I should be not be able, I should not be recalling that, oh, I saw step one before. I should just see a progress bar at the top there that is showing me step one complete, step two, one more step to go, step three. I don't know if you understand. So these are like certain little decisions that you would make on your design that would actually improve your entire like the entire experience of your product. Like you're not stressing your users, you're not giving them load, you're not giving them telling them to think too much. Do you get? And then flexibility and efficiency of use accelerators unseen by the novice user um, may often speed up the interaction for the expert user. Okay, so what this is saying is a new user should be able to use your platform as well as someone that is an OG or like an expert in the field. Do you get? So if I'm designing for Gen Zs, I should know that Gen Zs are smart, but there are also people among them that are not so tech savvy. Do you understand? So, plus again, Gen Zs don't like stress, but there are still some people, like I still have a target audience that are like millennials that like to follow process. They like to like do follow due process and all of those things. So I should think about all of these things and make sure that whether you are a Gen Z or you are a new novice, or like you're not tech savvy, yeah, you don't have any idea of what is going on in the crypto world or Web3 world, or you are one crypto lord, or you are a community, like whatever you are, you should be able to use like this platform. Like it should be flexible and efficient. So that's what this is. Like allow users to tailor like frequent actions. It should cater to both inexperienced and experienced users. Then aesthetic and minimalist design. Dialogue should not contain information which is irrelevant or rarely needed. Every extra unit of information in a dialogue competes with the relevant units of information. As much as possible, please, by all means, please just think minimal when you're designing. Like, first of all, in fact, that's why they advise people to do wireframe in black and white before they start adding color. Like, if you're able to do your design in black and white and it looks so good, then if you add colors, you realize that there are certain, like it's not looking all choked together. Do you understand? Like it's not struggling to breathe. Allow your designs breathe. It should be aesthetically pleasing, but it should also be able to breathe. There should be space. So there should not be struggling for information hierarchy. Like everywhere you're saying, pick me, look at me. Like I shouldn't be struggling to concentrate on a particular place. If you look at this screen now, I don't know the first thing you would see on this screen, but one of the things you would see on this screen, if you come here, one of the things you see on, I don't know why this image did not load, but one of the things you see on the screen if you come here would be this image. The next thing you might see is this title, but for some people, they'll be seeing this button here. You know why? Because this button is in pink or like wherever it is, and it's standing out. It's different from every other thing. It might take you time before you even notice that there is login here or there is this here. Like, but there are certain things, information that you want to stand out. So you have to give priority to those information, like hierarchy. You have to like place it on different hierarchy, information hierarchy. You'll also notice that this title is bigger than this one. These ones are like smaller. You pay if you pay close attention, so you see this is in green. It has underline telling you that it's a link. You can click on it. This is bigger. This is smaller. So like your design has to be intentional, and then please pay attention to like minimal. Like it shouldn't be everything shouldn't be struggling. Like allow your design breathe. That's just what I have to say about this number 8. Like pay attention to like the relevant information that you want people to focus on and all, and then help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. Error messages should be expressed in plain language, no codes, precisely indicate the problem and constructively suggest a solution. So an error message like error 404, it shouldn't just be a blank page. You would see that it's 404 and then it's telling you that, oh sorry, or maybe 5 um it's telling you that or maybe error 500, it's telling you that, oh sorry, this is not your problem. Oh, this is actually from us. It's our fault. But you can go back home and then you'll be able to reach this or try reaching this, or like there are certain like things that you should be able to help your users to pick. Like sorry, you should be able to help your users pick to come out from certain problems that they must have found themselves in while trying to interact with your product. And like an example would be like the error that I just mentioned. So instead of them thinking, what should I do next? You're telling them, go back home or look at this or pay attention to this or pay attention to this. You should be able to come out of this problem that you found yourself in. So help people recognize that, oh, I'm in a problem. Diagnose the problem, tell them that this is what this problem is. Sorry, oh, it's our fault. Then this is how you can recover from the problem. Then help and documentation. Even though it is better if the system can be used without documentation, it may be necessary to provide help and documentation. Any such information should be easy to search, focused on the user's tasks. Depending on the type of product, there are some products that will not require you to put help or support page or documentation or whatever. But if you know that your product is so complex and you're trying to even reduce the number of times people will call your support team or send emails and shouting or having conversation, you should please try to create like help or documentation page or user guides or whatever. So people find it easy to use the products, find answers to their questions and all. Yeah, that's it for design, heuristics in UX design. And I think we've come to the end of today's class. Please, if you have questions, sorry I've taken your time, a lot of time. I'm so sorry. If you have questions, please ask. I would really appreciate. And any questions that you have, just let me know. Please don't tell me that I was talking to myself. In fact, just unmute and tell me, if you don't have questions, tell me something that you learned so that we can close today. Hey, God, I beg you.
This is Rachel.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned
Hi.
that. Okay, I learned that in the process of design, you have to put the end user first, rather than what you think that the end user will use or what you feel that is going to be good. You have to put them first. Like that's in terms of design thinking, and in terms of design psychology, you have to understand them to know how their mind works, how they react to various things. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, I think someone raised their hand. Just see, Uche. At least I'm happy. One person learned something. I can sleep well this night. Jesse, you can go.
Okay. Uh, this thing was a long lecture, but at least I also learned that anything can be the design, but you have to, when you get out there, that you might be thinking of A, but they might be wanting B. So you should not just be like what it's your own idea. You have to go there and then find out what your people what they want before you can come in and then talk with your mentors or with your people that and then go in for the design
Yeah, that's true. Don't just make assumptions. Actually,
as
like
well.
work with data. Yeah. Thank you.
And I also want to ask if this the recording and this thing will be sent to the platform so that we can still go back to it.
I don't know about recording because I wasn't
Yes,
really
shared.
recording. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right
Okay.
then. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry
Thank
again for the long lecture. We were trying to make sure that we give you guys like the best within the shortest possible time. I know that it's not ideal to I was talking of cognitive load. It's not ideal to like give all of us like give us this all this information at once. But we just need to like work with the time frame we have so that we'll be able to like pass like a meaningful information to you guys too. So sorry for that. Just bear with us. I think that's it. If you don't have any other questions.
Thank you very much, Matilda, for this wonderful session. Um, Thank you so much. I mean, you really, gave out so much. Although I wasn't here earlier, but when I joined, I've learned something as well. Um, yeah, thank you once again for your time and the knowledge that you've shared. Um, Also, I want to also thank the students for joining in. Thank you for those that are here. Please, I would plead that in subsequent classes, let's try to, join in the class on time. If it means like blocking your calendar for this session so that we don't keep our mentors waiting for so long, right? Um, and also try to go through resources that will be shared in the group. So, Matilda, I would like to ask if we can have the links to some of the resources that you used, so we can also drop them in the group so that they can, study further or use it to read up on other things. Uh,
Yes, yes, yes. I will share that.
yes, and yes, please, drop always if you have questions. Please, you can drop it in the chat, like Matilda just said, right? And the mentors will be available to respond to your questions and all of that. Thank you so much once again, Matilda, for this wonderful session. And have an amazing weekend, everybody. Jesse, Abby, Jesse. Okay, sorry, Jesse
Yes.
Awuche. Your hand is up. You have question or you want to say something?
No, I've asked. Sorry, I've asked my question.
Okay, all right. Roland,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
thank you. Roland,
Hello.
yes, please go ahead.
Uh, okay. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for the class. It's quite insightful. You know, it's eye opener to what UI and UX is all about. I just want to ask briefly, um, like a minimum, like how many months is it going to take one to, really master the art of UI UX?
Uh, okay. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm still learning, and I think I'll say that I have I've been in the industry for like work experience, where working within a company for almost 5 years, but I'm still learning. Do you understand? But
Okay.
what I would say is to get the basics, to understand the basics. There are different timelines. There are some people that can learn in 2 weeks. There are some people that can learn in 6 weeks, 6 months. There are some people that can learn in 3 months. So I would say give yourself to be able to learn the basics, learn the skill, and be consistent. Just give yourself at least minimum 3 months. Ensure that
Okay.
you are learning, you are researching, paying attention to resources, you are practicing, asking questions, and then after 3 months, the next 3 months, you give yourself like 3 months to be designing something every single day, even if it's a button, even if it's whatever it is, just design something every day. So that this is like 6 months for it to like improve and then be able to get the necessary skill. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
just to add to what you said, um, so this is not product design specific. It's general for the tech space. Yeah, learning never ends. That's what I've come to learn or come to understand in during my years in the tech space, right? So it doesn't matter what field that you are in. For this product design, she just said that she has been in the industry for like 5 years and she's still learning. For me, I've been in the industry for almost the same time and I'm still learning, right? So you just have to know that if you're going into tech, your learning never ends basically. Because the reason is because technology keeps evolving. Technology keeps evolving every single day. And if you tell yourself that, oh yeah, I've learned everything, there's no you and then you before you know it, give yourself 6 months or 1 year at most, you will be left behind. And that's the truth. That's just the fact. So when we talk about tech space, be it product design, be it software testing, be it software development, be it whatever it is, it's a continuous learning process or a continuous learning journey. You keep learning every day. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add. I hope we answered your question. I mean, Matilda already did justice to your question, I think. But I just wanted to add to that for everybody, whether you're going to continue on this field or you're going to be taking a different field in the tech field, just know that learning never ends. Basically, you just have to keep learning it. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining and have an amazing weekend. Thank you again, Matilda. Thank you so much. Um, we'll see you guys in the next class and then in the group chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, Matilda.